Okay, well, thank you very much, and we're now open for questions. Please.
Can I just say something?
Sure. Just a second. Okay, over there. Well, just,
Okay, wait.
I'll introduce you a little bit. For those of you, most of you should know Justine. Justine has been teaching STEM at the Jenga Jang Center for the past 7 or 8 years. And he is most well liked by nearly all the students. Okay, welcome Justine to have an impromptu speech.
Hey guys. Okay, so I wanted to just address something that might be bothering some of you listening to these people, because you five, maybe 4 of you, are lucky enough to actually have found something that you are passionate about and are able to devote yourself to. But I feel like there might be some of you in the crowd that are like, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about, right? And you're scared that you're never going to find it, right? And that's totally possible, right? It took me a long time to find what I was willing to commit to. And you also might be at the other end of the spectrum, where you're passionate about 10 things, right? And you just don't have time to do 10 careers. Maybe 2 if you're cool enough, 3 if you're Elon Musk, right? But you might have to be able to narrow it down, right? And there's a couple of things that come into that for me personally. I think if you're in the camp of you don't know what you're passionate about, there's something to be said about committing and just being willing to take that first step. Because we as people like being good at things. I think the things that we're passionate about are things, for you guys at least, are ways that you think that you are capable of affecting the world positively in. And if you just don't know what that is, you have to develop skills in order to do that. So you have to sit down and do the grind is real, right? You have to put the effort in order to become a person who is capable of affecting the world. And how you do that is kind of freeing. You don't actually have to discover a passion if you're in that camp. You can create a passion by committing to something and practicing it, right? Whether that's an instrument or art or designing, engineering, math, something like that, right? If you make that effort, you can create a passion by becoming good at something that you can turn into a career. If you're in that camp of too many passions, it's kind of the same advice, where you just want to pick something that you can commit to. And in that process, you will be able to find that thing that you want. And the other thing, the word passion kind of bugs me too. And there's also this thing called survivorship bias. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Has anyone heard that term before? Survivorship bias? Yeah. Okay. So the classic follow your passion advice, right? Like how many people out there do you think had like a passion for basketball, right? And they wanted to be the next NBA star. And you talk to LeBron James or something, right? Someone who's made it. And you say, well, what was your advice? And he'd be like, follow your passion, because look where it got me, right? But there is like piles and piles of people who did not make it in the NBA because they tried to follow their passion, but they weren't good enough, right? So be aware that following your passion is only takes you so far, right? You have to be willing to put that work in. And I think that's basically all I wanted to say. Just to add on to what you guys have already said.
Yeah, I'm in the parent room. I just have some questions for the speakers. So would you mind to ask the students, would you talk about what's the area you're going to study in the college and what's your favorite subject in high school? Just for any of the 5 students. Yes.
You, all of them, or?
Okay, can I ask the first students then? What's your favorite subject in the high school and what are you going to study in the college?
So I have 2 favorite classes. So I would say AP Biology and AP US History. And they seem really different / current events, but that's not offered at every school. So I know those 2 subjects seem really different. And I think this kind of goes back to a little bit like what Maya was saying, how important it is to find subjects that are, I guess, interdisciplinary, because the world isn't black and white. So this leads me on to what I'm going to study, which is I'm probably going to study biology and public policy. And the reason why is because I have a lot of interest in politics and current affairs, but I also do have an interest in medicine and healthcare. And so I'm really interested in pursuing a career in health policy and management possibly. And so that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Thank you.
Hi. So my favorite classes in high school were chemistry and philosophy. And similar to Caitlin, they're very different in nature. But I found a lot of cool ways to kind of bring them together. In college, I'm hoping to study chemistry and environmental sciences and policy. But I'm also kind of in the camp of there's too many things that I really like, so I could be changing quite a bit. But I like chemistry because it's very broad and you can apply it to a lot of different things. So that's my 2 cents.
So, are we good? Okay. So my potential major when I applied was like music and mathematics, but for me, my favorite classes were AP Statistics because statistics is such a real-world application. It's probably one of the most real-world application classes that have a real-world application, whether it is analyzing data through what you see. You probably have seen data every single time you go on the internet and find an article. There's always going to be data supporting this, supporting that, etc. So thinking about biases and being able to interpret data is something that I really like. So that probably has pushed me towards like the business area, economics, finance, somewhere there. But also, like my other favorite classes were English. Like my favorite language classes, just because being able to immerse myself in a different culture and being understanding of how others think in a different cultural environment is something that I have really enjoyed, and being able to understand that has made me more understanding of people in general. So that was just my 2 favorite classes in general.
Next question.
From the parents' room in the back here. Yeah, I have a question because it seems like you guys have done a lot of things in high school, and there's definitely a lot of competing activities, and you guys are very busy, right? How do you prioritize your time in your activities?
Prioritizing, being organized, having a calendar. This is really, really important because you're going to have so many activities to do. You're going to have so many essays due at certain areas. You're going to have to map out everything and find a way to either sacrifice one activity to be able to work on another activity. So for me, I did piano, I did swimming, I had to do a bunch of volunteering. Homework, I had to deal with IB, which is another curriculum at New York Park High School, where we had to write essays, whether it's a 4,000-word essay, like another 1,000-word essays, pulling multiple of those. You'll have to find a way to like work out your deadlines, maybe like on a Wednesday night. So Maya and I, we work at Westminster Free Clinic, so on those Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday, we would, for example, I would have to sacrifice my piano and swimming just so I can accommodate for that sort of events and for me to finish my homework in time. So you have to make temporary sacrifices or even like permanent sacrifices by dropping in a certain activity just so you can accommodate for everything, which is why when you do so many activities, it's kind of unbelievable for you to be being able to do all that, because how are you going to survive with all that? How are you going to develop your passion? So that's why being able to be focused as well will be able for you to balance all those activities out.
Just to add on to that real briefly, I think something that's really important about prioritizing is being honest with yourself about what you are capable of and introspecting about that. Because sometimes people, they feel like they're running out of time because they've taken on too much. And they're just not capable of saying, oh, oops, right, I gotta drop something, like that already said.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this quick because I know we don't have a lot of time, but don't procrastinate. So I know it's really, this sounds super simple, and I'm not saying that I never procrastinate, but okay, so I set a goal for myself the first semester of junior year to not procrastinate, and oh my gosh, it made junior year seem so much easier than sophomore year, which never happens. And like what I mean is if you have time to squeeze in time during the day to do something, don't just sit there, because time adds up. So like for example, APUSH, you have to read and there's like 6 pages. It'll take you like 20 minutes, but sometimes if you walk to class and you get there early, literally sit down and read for 2 minutes. Like sometimes I would finish before I even got home from school. find ways to squeeze in time, and also when you get home, it seems like you have 8 hours to do your homework. Don't just sit there and go on Netflix or be like, I have so much time. Like, do your work first and then reward yourself after, because you will save a lot of time.
This is also going to be really quick, but just like also be efficient with your time. Like if you know, and like schedule ahead, right? Like if you know that you have a lot of activities on Wednesday, but like you don't really have that much on Monday, a lot of teachers will tell you all of your assignments like a week in advance, so you can like do your work for Wednesday on Monday so that you can do all the activities that you want to do later on in the week. So like you do have time, like a lot more time than you think you do, and like use every second of your spare time.
Let's get a question from the students. Yes. You were first.
About procrastination, like I feel like it's always so easy to say like, oh, I won't procrastinate, but like how do you actually find the motivation not to?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, how to not procrastinate. So I have that problem. I procrastinate a lot. Sometimes like I'll get home from school and I'll be like, I really don't want to do homework. So if you're like too tired, just like take a nap and then wake up. That's like a secret. It's really, it actually works. Then when you wake up from the nap and you're like, oh my god, I have this energy, then I can do it and I'll do it faster. But take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes you'll get tired after you wake up. But naps are good.
Yeah.
So, okay, because like the thing is you have like schoolwork and then your activities that you probably care more about. So like just get your homework done so you can actually focus on the activities that you do care about.
Also, some of you guys, like, it's nice to tell yourself you can just not procrastinate, but sometimes you need to utilize forced methods of control. So, if you go on your phone a lot, literally put your phone upstairs and like lock it in there and do your homework downstairs. Or like delete all your social media. Like if you think you can't control yourself and not go on Facebook or Instagram, literally just delete the app off your phone for the week and re-download it over the weekend.
Sorry, one more thing. There's something called the Forest app, okay? So it's so good. If you're doing your homework, okay, you plant a tree on the Forest app, and it's like if you don't use your phone that whole time, then it plants a tree on the Forest app. It's called Forest. Get it. I have so many trees. Yes.
Sorry, I have one more thing to add. Get some good friends. If you're doing a group project or you're doing like assignments that are all doing in the same boat, basically get some good friends, go out to a study session and work together. Alright? Whether you're procrastinating for studying or like needing some like major review on a specific topic but you can't do it all in one night, then start reviewing with all your friends. Really get to know them, and besides it's another social activity, but yeah, self-assessment. That's all I have to say.
There are a lot of classes in high school, so I was wondering, how do you guys choose which ones that you want to take sophomore year and in the beginning of high school before like knowing your passion?
For quick context, what high school?
Wesley.
So I basically would, you kind of know which teachers are teaching which classes, and so generally, like, even if you don't think you're super interested in the subject, for example, I thought that I wouldn't like physics, because, like, well, I just didn't think I would like physics, but I knew the teacher was really, really good at Westlake, and you can go and rate my teacher and talk to other students at your school, and the chances are, if you have a good teacher, even if you're not super interested in the subject, you will end up enjoying the class and learning a lot from it, and so I would recommend that. Also, you can talk to the teacher before you sign up for classes anyways, to ask them what the workload is like and what the class itself is like, and so that should give you a pretty good picture of whether or not you're interested in that before you sign up.
Also for sophomore year, I know like between sophomore and junior year or freshman and sophomore year, a lot of students at Westlake will take classes over the summer. So if you're like at all interested in like a science or something, you could like take like a summer course to get ahead. Or if you're like in a language class and you want to take AP, you can take like the summer course for that as well. But just make sure it's something that like you're actually interested in or like kind of good at, because otherwise like the next level class is going to be really hard. But since you're like, are you going to be a sophomore? Take Euro. It's good. It's worth it.
Just a quick add-on also. There's lots of resources online, right? So if you're thinking about chemistry versus biology versus physics or whatever the science is, maybe versus comp sci, just poke around, check out Khan Academy, like YouTube. There's lots of things. Just see if you're interested in those kinds of things before you take the class, or before you sign up, yeah.
I have a question. When should you like start volunteering? Because I'm in like middle school right now. Like, is it too early right now?
It's never too early. I think that's going to be the consensus up here.
It's not too early to start volunteering, especially if you're going to volunteer. Find that, like I keep talking about theme, but like find some volunteering area that you're most interested in. So whether or not you want to help like help like the more or like the less fortunate one, like the impoverished one, then focus on that sort of topic. Don't just go like, okay, I'm gonna volunteer Special Olympics. All right, I'll do the beach. I'll do, I don't know, food management, or like not even management, but like a food bank or something like that. Don't be so like everywhere with your volunteering. Find something that you want to, like at least in middle school you'll be able to explore, but by the time you hit high school, I would suggest finding one volunteer area you want to do and then stick to that.
Also, don't feel pressured to be like noble or anything. There's lots of volunteering opportunities that are slightly less noble, but still totally viable. The animal shelter can always use volunteers. We all love animals, so that's a great one.
Just to add on to what Justin said really quick, for like volunteering, if there's something that you're like kind of good at and you want to like expand that kind of a thing, let me just give an example. So like I do debate, and so like one of like the volunteering things that I did, I guess, is just like working on like expansion for debate in middle school areas, or like if you're interested in something else, like maybe work on like expansion of like a topic or something that you're interested in into like elementary schools.
Sorry. When I was in high school, I did partly in middle school, I did volunteering things in environment and health. So if anyone's interested in environment or health, you can talk to me after this and I can hook you up.
Alright, next question.
So So at like high schools, there are like many clubs and stuff. So I'm wondering, since there's also a lot of homework, like should you be willing to drop like clubs or stuff for homework, or are they like really important to your application? Yes. You don't have so many clubs. I think I had a maximum of like 4, maybe 5 at a time. Not that many, because
I did 2. I did 2.
Yes, yeah, she did 2. How many you guys had? 3.
Yeah, around like 3 that I actually did.
Yeah, but you have to be more focused. Yeah, I keep talking about be more focused with regards to that.
And again, if you're Elon Musk, you can do 5. But like, just be honest with yourself. Am I running out of time? Do I have time for my homework and this club? Just be willing to interest that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that being said, like you will end with around 3 clubs or like maybe 2. But the thing is, like, also don't forget that when you're a freshman, and I don't know how old you are, but if you're younger, don't be scared to sign up for a bunch of stuff. And remember that you can always drop, because the chances are you're not going to like if you only sign up for 3 clubs, chances are you're not even going to like 3 of them, and so you want to kind of get a taste of everything and then pick the ones that you actually like, and then gradually eliminate as time goes on.
Next question.
Yeah, how would you know if you're interested or like passionate about something through clubs or other courses?
I think sometimes it's more obvious than others. If you're not really sure, I think what happens is kind of look at the people around you. And like if you enjoy the people that you're surrounded by, even if you're not really sure if you're interested in the content, I think you'll find that those people will inspire you and you'll eventually like feel a lot better about the cause itself.
Sorry. Yeah, I think you kind of know when you're passionate about something. There's like 2 things that happen. One, you find yourself always asking like why something's happening, or you want to learn more. Like for me in my chemistry class, we'll like learn a concept and I'll be like, oh, why does this concept happen? And then I look at my own time and I find something. I'm like, oh wow, like I want to learn more. So then I kept doing that. And then another thing that was like kind of helped me was like there's a lot of issues like in the world, and I think that it's really important for people to kind of try to, in high school, starting from high school, try to tackle on those issues and like global problems. So for me, like I found like energy to be like a really important issue that mattered to me, so then I wanted to go after it.
My own personal standard that I forgot to bring up earlier, I wanted to. Something you're passionate about, something that causes you to lose sleep. So if you are working on something and you are willing to just stay up for it and you just forget to eat meals, to sleep, that's something you're passionate about, right? That's the dead giveaway. So if you find something like that, you got it.
But don't forget to sleep.
But yeah, please remember to eat.
Okay. This is more about applied biology. I heard that some people say senior years are easier than junior year. So what are some stresses you guys encounter in senior year?
What school are you in, by the way?
Westlake.
You're Westlake, okay. See, for New Redbrook High School, senior year is the most stressful year of our lives because we have IB, and IB is everything in senior year. So we have to finish a 4,000 word paper in our senior year. We have to write another essay that's 1,600 words in our senior year, and deal with college applications, and have to deal with 4 to 6 IB tests at the end of senior year. So our year, senior year, is the worst for us. But you're at Westlake, so I think they will give you a better year.
I think honestly, like first semester senior year is not any less stressful than all of junior year or any other year of high school, and it's probably the most stressful because you have to do all of your classes on top of working on your college applications. So, and also just like, even though it's your senior year, you're still like in a lot of clubs that you're still interested in, so just like make sure you don't just like disappear. Also, really quickly, so besides academics and activities that you'll encounter senior year, you'll also might encounter stress from like your peers because it's college application season and people like to gossip and blah blah blah. So just tell yourself, you know, you have worked really hard, be proud of everything you've accomplished, and sometimes things will work out and sometimes they don't. But don't let the talk get to you because it'll make you feel a lot better.
Alright, yeah, so just a general question, like, as a lazy person, how do you like motivate yourself to work harder and like be more excited about learning?
I don't have anything for that. Go ahead.
So I think the thing that will motivate you is being with your friends. So I remember when I was working on my college essays, I would like be like writing alone in my room at like nighttime with like a blank Word document in front of me, and that's really demoralizing. I'd be like, this makes me sad. I'm just watching YouTube videos. But then, like this one time, we had like a gathering with our friends where we would like exchange our computers and then proof each other's essays. So I think like being near people who are like going through the same struggle as you, and like who like support you and like understand what you're going through is really invigorating and will motivate you to start working.
Also, there's different kinds of laziness, I guess. So we touched on procrastination earlier. One of the things that kind of contributes to procrastination for me personally is this sort of fear of getting started, I guess I would call it, or like you want what you do to be good. So like when you're writing a college essay and you're staring at a blank page, you don't want to write a bad sentence, and that's kind of preventing you from starting, right? So the key really is just not getting stuck on that, just being willing to do something poorly, like writing a bad sentence, and just going back and fixing it later, right? Because having something is better than a blank page. It's always better to have something than nothing. And once you get comfortable with taking that step, it'll kind of sort itself out a little bit.
Go ahead.
So pretend there's a club and that you really want to be in, but there's another club that you like that will support you better than the club you want to be in. So like, which club do you have to choose? Like, you have to choose between the two. Which one should you choose?
Okay. This is actually something that I get really like worked up about. That and also the whole college thing. Like, which college do I go to? I got accepted to 2 places. Which one should I go to? It's a similar question. There's no wrong answer, right? Both those answers are probably fine for you. If you like both of them, picking one of them is totally fine. So don't be scared. Maybe flip a coin. If you don't like the way the coin landed, you probably wanted to go the other way. That sort of thing. But don't be scared because they're both correct answers.
Do you have like a specific example of like what you mean?
For me, I I know Ken or
Why do you think that?
Wait, I have a question. Wait, what instrument do you play?
well, violin and bassoon.
Violin and bassoon. And I'm a former bassoonist here. I would say do bassoon. Go to band, unless like, do you know people in orchestra or band?
Like all my friends are in orchestra, and then I'm not gonna go.
I would. Okay, maybe you could talk to us after.
Yeah.
Talk to me for like music parts, and we can discuss about it. All right, that's fine.
Next question.
Okay, I have a question. I'm from a parent group, so I'm asking this for my son. I know you're very excellent students, but this is not even a question for you, I think. But just give me some suggestions. So when my son he's doing some history project, I know that there are a lot of research and understanding things. So he needs to do some research online, right? So he told me that sometimes he got distracted. So for example, he's researching information for his project of history, and then he distracted, reading on and on about other things, and then he spent so much things not related to the topic, So what kind of suggestion can you give my son? Thank you.
Okay, so this is kind of similar to the procrastination question, but one of the problems we run into with big projects like that is that you get kind of lost, right? You don't know where to start. So setting smaller incremental goals is very important, I think. So I don't know what his project is, but making him write down or answer specific questions on the path towards, working towards a project. Smaller incremental goals, I think, is what I would suggest. Yeah.
I don't know how helpful this will be, but if you're like working on an actual project for school and you need to do real research, try using like Google Classroom, or not Google Classroom, Google Scholar, instead of just regular Google to like actually find real resources. And then that way you won't have like random articles that aren't related that will show up.
Also, just one other thing, I would suggest using an outline. So find like an outline and see, like making sure you're able to fill in all those gaps, because as you can see how much progress you've done, if you realize that you didn't do any progress, well, get onto it like ASAP. Just like review an outline, I would suggest.
Okay, well, I like to add a little understanding about the question I just asked by the parent about history. The best way to prepare your children for high school history, because Western civilization has a long, long history. Now, so here is what you can do, especially if you have younger kids. You should encourage the kids to start reading about history systematically from 4th grade on. And then every year you will read a certain period, say the ancient age. The second year you will read the Middle Age, and the third year you will read the Renaissance age, and the fourth year you will read the modern age, or maybe it doesn't have to be 1 year, half a year. And then you do the same thing again in middle school. And you do the same thing again in high school. So after the second, going over the 2 times, by the time you run the 3rd round, you would already have become very familiar with a lot of the major and minor events in history. And I think that's a very good way to prepare for history, because it's too big for 1 semester for you to digest and consume.
Hello, can I ask a question from parents' room? So I know like the high school is a tough 4 years for the students, and then it's actually also a tough year for the parents as well. Through your experience, do you have any suggestion for the parents, how they best support you? Some like good ways, some also like what you think your parent does not do well, you wish them to do differently.
Okay. I can speak talking to the parents. Try not to breathe down your kid's neck. So this includes, so most of the people in the room are Asian, okay? We care about grades. Please do not check your check your students' grades really often, because there's a couple things what's going to happen. One, maybe the student had a bad day, something happened. Two, the teacher doesn't put in a certain assignments. Don't absolutely freak out because maybe temporarily says, oh, it's a B or a C. No, it's just teacher's fault. She'll get back into, or she or he will get back into it. It's just that give your child an opportunity to be able to manage his or her own education in regards to grades, but also just be able to communicate with them and don't be so, just like communicate with them, be able to find like a middle ground between each other and talk all the time about it.
Yeah, I come from a different culture, so my story might be a little different than everyone else's, but I think the universal thing is always understanding and communication between parents and children, and then that in the end, like regardless of what college you end up in, it's always important to make sure you have that like strong relationship, and that there's more important things in the world than your like school. Like in my high school 4 years, we had some events that like happened in our personal lives, and then it made us, I guess, realize as a family that like that we're here, we're alive. We should be grateful for what we have, and that school is not everything.
I think one of the things that comes up a lot is that a lot of the problems we talk about in terms of things that contribute towards grades, maybe procrastination or things like that, these are things that take mental and sort of emotional fortitude to overcome, right? If you're trying to beat down your procrastination habit, you have to work at that, right? That's not easy. And you can't beat that down by being stern with it, right? You have to have that strength. So it's important to be supportive in that regard, more so than it is to be on task, I guess. Let's hear from an actual parent.
We'll probably take one or two more questions because we have gone over time. We do need to end approximately on time, so two more questions.
Okay, I'm in the parents' room. I have another question for the students. Now these years the college, it's really getting competitive to go into the good colleges. So for any of you, I just want to see, I'm sure there's a lot of top students in your high school, and they all want to go to the good colleges. For all of you, you already step into the, the top university. So what, if you ask like at one point what you stands out, or what's the main difference you think, the colleges select you versus the other students? What do you think?
It's really hard to pinpoint one thing specifically with regards to like what really got you in. I mean, you can talk about like your most biggest strengths. For example, in my case, it was music, and being able to demonstrate through national competitions, through awards I've gotten through those international awards.
Are you do the music major, or that's your extracurricular?
Well, I was initially thinking of music major, but that has nothing does not necessarily have to do with when you're applying to college. You can show that yes, you can contribute to the music community at the specific college. You do not necessarily have to apply for that major, and that's something that's important. I mean, music is one area that for some colleges. The second part, I mean, you could say the strength of your essays, and it really gives you an idea of who you are and how it gives this sort of independent voice that it's just you, and there's something unique about your essays that screams about you.
Yeah, I will say also that being unique is very difficult, because if you just look at your list of clubs and accomplishments, there are going to be a lot of students in this country that have very similar lists. So the thing that makes you stand out is how well you're able to communicate yourself and why you pick those things and how you arrived at where you are. So the essays are sort of a big part of what makes you you on the application.
Also, I think a common theme that most of the top colleges are looking for is not specifically they want to see this activity or this project, but they want to just see you as a person or someone who wants to do good things in this world. And so there's a lot of different ways you can go about that. And so I think something that's really important to remember is that you should work hard in your education and try to get good grades and a good SAT score, but that isn't everything. And I think something that is important to also focus on is to think about what other things you can do, what extracurriculars or leadership opportunities you can to kind of make yourself stand out.
this is just one final thing. I don't know if this is like necessarily true for everyone, but at least for me, like my college application or just everything that I did in high school was really, really focused on one thing, and that was public speaking. So my entire application was about pretty much debate or mock trials. So I was on the mock trial team. I debated for Team USA. I coached debate at the college that I'm going to be attending to right now. And I also helped set up debate at Los Cerritos and Sequoia Middle School. And so those are all things that I focused like most of my energy on, and they're all pretty much about one thing. And that's like what I think is like what stands out about myself, but I don't know if that's necessarily true for everyone.
Let's just go ahead. Okay. I feel like there's like one main thing that might have helped. I wrote my Common App essay on my involvement in like environment and renewable energy in terms of my city. So when I was a junior, I wrote a research paper on applying solar energy and energy storage to the Thousand Oaks Library, the Teen Center, and the Senior Center. And then I just decided to take that paper and submit it to my local city government. And then that led to like a lot of dialogue and negotiations with the sustainability division within my city. And then in January of this year, they told me that they're going to start a solar panel project at the Thousand Oaks Library, and that it was influenced by my research. So that was like something that I think made me like stand out from other applicants, even if I didn't have like the craziest classes and like the numbers.
One last question.
How important do you think it is to like enter in competitions and stuff like science fair and like other competitions, perhaps?
Okay, this is gonna be quick. I did not do the science fair or anything like that.
You did a lot of debate competitions.
I did a lot of debate competitions, but in terms of like science Olympiad or like science fair or like, I don't know, I did a lot of like debate competitions which are like outside of school, but not like science or math competitions, if that's what you're asking.
Basically just look to see if the fair suits your interest, and if it does, then by all means go for it, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't feel compelled to do it.
Yeah, it comes down to interest. This on? Yeah, there we go. So I did Science Olympiad. I tried Science Fair, but then I didn't really like it. Like Science Olympiad for me, like I was able to talk, like do like math, do estimations, which was pretty fun for me for the win. But after that, it was just finding something, like find your like one area that you're interested in, and then find competitions for that area. If you're not interested in science, don't do the science fair, don't do science competition, as like just reiterate what Caitlin has said. Just basically, again, we always keep saying follow your passions, but in this case, find something you want to do and then stay in that sort of path.
Yeah, I did Chem Lab in my junior year. I didn't like it, so I stopped.
Okay, well, it's quite obvious that we need another similar like this in order for us to continue with the discussion. Okay, but time is up, so it's about time for us to call an end to it. But first of all, could you please give a round of applause to these 5 outstanding leaders of tomorrow? And can you also give yourself a round of applause to yourself for coming to spend the time together? Thank you very much for coming. Above all, I'd like to thank one invisible hero, Mr. Wang, who came yesterday to spend 2 hours trying to set up our video and visual equipment. Without Mr. Wang, today's seminar would not have been possible. And thank you very much. We would like for this kind of communication and dialogue to continue, and all for the good of you, for the good of the community, for the good of your future, and for the good of your family and everybody. Thank you very much again. Okay, have a good afternoon. Thank you.